Level 1 mud brick laborer. The sun hits your back before you even open your eyes, and by the time you've rolled off your reed mat in the workers' village, the day's heat has already begun to press down like a hand. A foreman bangs a stick against a post to call the shift, and you fall into line with hundreds of other men, all barefoot, all coated in yesterday's dust. A basket of limestone chunks is strapped across your shoulders, and you haul it up a ramp of packed earth toward a wall that seems to grow taller every single day. Your palms turned to leather long ago, though the ache in your lower back never quite fades. At midday, a jar of beer and a hunk of bread wait for you, your only real comfort, while overseers ride past on donkeys without once glancing down. By torchlight, you rub sore muscles and listen to older men tell stories of the gods, half believing them just to fall asleep faster. You don't know it yet, but the structure rising behind you will outlast every king who ever lives, including the one it's built for. A scribe walks the site counting bricks on a papyrus scroll, and you envy him more than you envy any noble, because he never lifts anything heavier than a reed pen. When you ask him how a man learns to write, he laughs, not unkindly, and tells you it takes years most men simply don't have. So you go back to hauling stone, your hands bleeding through their wrappings by week's end, finding whatever pride you can in the wall that keeps climbing. Somewhere above you, priests are already choosing which star the Pharaoh's soul will follow, and you have no idea that path could ever include you. Level 2, Temple Apprentice. A priest notices you can trace symbols in the sand better than most boys your age, and before you understand what it means, he's pulling you from the labor lines and through the temple gate. Inside, cool stone floors replace scorching sand, and incense replaces sweat, a trade you'd have made blindly. You're handed a reed brush and a palette of black and red ink, then drilled for hours on hundreds of hieroglyphs, until your wrist aches worse than your back ever did. Slowly, patiently, the symbols stop looking like pictures and start looking like meaning. Before dawn even clears the horizon, you're taught to recite hymns to Amun-Ra. Your head freshly shaved, your body wrapped in plain white linen, a small step up from a laborer's rags. You carry water jars for purification rituals, always 3 steps behind the senior priests, catching glimpses of an inner sanctuary so sacred that only the high priest may ever enter it. When a merchant's son mocks your rough hands during a lesson, you say nothing, because you already know something he doesn't. Knowledge outlasts privilege every time. At night, you practice writing by moonlight on a scrap of broken pot, and your teacher tells you a sharp mind can climb higher in this land than any bloodline ever could. Slowly, you start to believe him. Then one evening, a vizier's steward visits the temple looking for scribes fit for the royal household, and he watches you write your name 3 times, faster and cleaner each time. He nods once and walks away without a word, leaving you to wonder if you imagined it. Level 3, Royal Scribe. A summons arrives sooner than you expect, and you're brought inside the palace walls for the first time. Guards in bronze armor lining every corridor. You're given a proper linen kilt and sandals, your first real shoes before being set to work recording grain shipments, tax counts, and temple offerings for the vizier's court. You sit cross-legged for hours, papyrus unrolled across your lap, ink drying fast in the heat, while nobles walk past without seeing you, the way you once walked past stray dogs. You learn quickly that a single miscounted sack of grain can end a scribe's career overnight. One afternoon, the vizier himself reads over your shoulder in silence, studying your handwriting before asking who trained you. When you answer honestly that it was a temple priest, not a noble tutor, he seems pleased rather than dismissive. You're moved to more delicate work, drafting letters between provincial governors and the royal court. And slowly you start to understand how the kingdom truly runs. Not through the pharaoh's word alone, but through thousands of careful records like yours. A dispute over flooded farmland lands on your desk, and your notes help settle it fairly, earning you a reputation as precise, discreet, and quick. The vizier begins inviting you to sit in on councils, just to record, never to speak. And you watch decisions made that will reshape entire villages by nightfall. For the first time, you feel the weight of power near you, even if it isn't yours yet, and you find you don't want to look away from it. Level 4, Court Advisor. Your name is now known inside the palace, whispered as someone worth consulting, and the vizier grants you a modest estate near the Nile, complete with servants of your own for the first time in your life. You wear a collar of turquoise beads at official gatherings, a mark of your new rank, as foreign envoys from Nubia and the Levant begin addressing questions to you directly. You help draft treaties that will decide whether armies march or trade caravans roll instead. The weight of each word, suddenly very real. A famine threat forces you into urgent meetings about grain reserves, and you propose redistributing supplies from wealthier districts, a plan that saves thousands of lives. The Pharaoh hears of it and summons you to the throne room, a place you once only imagined, your forehead nearly touching cool stone floor as you bow. He asks your opinion on the grain crisis directly, and the whole court falls silent waiting for your answer, aware that one wrong word could end everything you've built. He nods slowly, then orders your plan carried out across the kingdom. Jealous nobles begin circling you now, sensing a rival born from dust rather than bloodline, and you start sleeping with a dagger near your bed, aware how quickly favor can turn to danger. Still, the Pharaoh requests your counsel again within the month, this time on matters of war. And you realize you're no longer just recording history. You're beginning to shape it. Level 5, Royal Vizier. The old vizier dies unexpectedly, and the Pharaoh chooses you to fill his sandals, placing a golden chain of office around your neck, before nobles who once ignored you completely. You now oversee taxation, temple construction, military logistics, and the entire scribal bureaucracy of Egypt, commanding thousands of workers on projects you once labored on yourself. Architects bring you blueprints for towering pylons and colossal statues awaiting your approval, while powerful priesthoods bring you their disputes over land and offerings. A border skirmish with Nubian raiders forces you to coordinate troop movements alongside the general, and you stand on a fortress wall at dawn, watching soldiers march out under banners you helped design. Assassination attempts become a real fear now, tasters checking your food before every meal. As the Pharaoh grows older and leans on you more heavily with each passing season, you begin advising on succession, knowing the next ruler's fate may rest partly in your hands, while foreign kings send gifts of gold, cedar, and lapis lazuli, seeking your favor directly. Sometimes you walk through markets in disguise, just to remember what ordinary life felt like, watching nobles bow to you now the way you once bowed to them. Power no longer feels like a gift. It feels like a weight strapped permanently to your back, but you carry it, because the kingdom's balance now runs partly through you. Level 6, Crown Prince Regent. The Pharaoh falls seriously ill, and the succession crisis you long feared finally arrives. Because of your decades of loyal service, you're named regent to guide the young heir to the throne. You move into royal chambers overlooking the Nile, training the prince yourself, teaching him the same careful discipline that raised you from nothing. You commission the beginning of your own tomb in the Valley of the Kings, workers carving deep into limestone cliffs, chambers meant to hold you for eternity. A rival faction within the court quietly plots to remove both you and the young heir, but you uncover the plot through a loyal informant and arrest the conspirators before dawn breaks. The kingdom never even learning how close it came to chaos. The old pharaoh dies soon after, and you stand beside the throne as the young heir is anointed with sacred oils, the nation holding its breath, uncertain what comes next. But the boy's reign is a brief one. Sickly since birth, he dies only a season later, leaving no son of his own behind him. In the vacuum, the priesthood and the army both look to the one man who has steadied the kingdom through every crisis so far. You. The high priests declare that the gods themselves have chosen you, a servant risen through merit rather than blood, to wear the crown outright. It is not the path you planned, but it is the one your entire life built toward. Level 7, Pharaoh of Egypt. The double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt is lowered onto your head at last, and priests declare you the living embodiment of Horus before a crowd stretching beyond the temple gates. You are Pharaoh now, king, god, and judge, all bound into a single title, no longer regent for another man's throne, but the source of the kingdom's authority yourself. From your palace balcony, you watch the Nile flood right on schedule, a sign the gods approve of your reign, while armies march at your command from the delta to the far southern cataracts. You settle disputes between entire nations with a single decree, and massive stone obelisks rise across the land, each one carved with your name for eternity. Your face is chiseled onto temple walls beside images of Amun-Ra and Osiris themselves, and farmers you'll never meet pray to statues bearing your likeness during harvest season. You walk through halls of gold and cedar, built by hands like the ones you once had, And at festivals, thousands chant your name as priests parade your image through the streets. Your tomb deep in the valley grows more elaborate with every passing year, filled with treasures meant to follow you into the next world. You remember quietly the boy who once hauled limestone up a dirt ramp under a merciless sun. And you know that boy is still the foundation beneath everything you became. When your reign ends, your name will be spoken by priests for 3,000 years, one of the rare few who climbed from the bottom of the world to its very top, from carrying the stone to wearing the crown. Drop a like if you respect the climb and let us know in the comments which level would have broken you first.